So if you're betting on football with a traditional sportsbook or bookmaker, you're betting on something to win. That's about the limit of what you can do. You can't really do anything very interesting. However, if you use a betting exchange, you can actually do a whole range of clever things that will allow you to profit from your knowledge of football. But both betting methods require you to understand what's likely to happen in the future. And of course, that's impossible, isn't it? Or is it? There is actually a betting method that will allow you to profit from your knowledge of football by predicting exactly what's going to happen in the future. And that's what I'm going to discuss in this video. I've been successfully betting and trading for over 20 years. So if you want more videos like this one, then please subscribe, like, and click on the bell icon to get notification of new videos as they're released. You should also visit the Academy, where we offer more structured learning. You can visit the forum, where you can speak to like-minded people and download additional content. And don't forget to go to our website and download a free trial of BetAngel, the cutting-edge software that will completely transform your trading. So is it possible to see the future? Can you see something that's going to happen that will allow you to profit? My answer to you is yes, because I do it all of the time. But there's one particular strategy that you can use when you're betting on football. And if you've got a little bit of football knowledge and you're prepared to do a little bit of research, then it can flag up opportunities for you on a regular basis. They don't occur all of the time, but you need a certain set of circumstances to appear that will allow you to profit from this particular scenario. Now, you would do that by trading, and if you're not familiar with the concept of trading, then get familiar with it because it's great. But basically, if you're trading on a betting exchange using a piece of software like BetAngel, you will lay at a lower price than you back at, or back at a higher price than you lay at, and you will net the profit between the two. It's just like trading on the stock market, apart from you doing it on a sports market. And this is the crux of how we did this particular strategy. But the strategy that we're going to use is very simple to understand. So simple, actually, that I actually sent out a message before this occurred, alerting people to the opportunity. And in this video, I'm going to use an example from somebody that followed that and made a decent sum of money from doing exactly what I indicated. But the strategy itself involves a key protagonist, and I will bring him up on the screen now. You will recognize this person if you're into your football. It's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he is currently the manager of Manchester United. And poor Ole has a problem, and that is that he has to play 3 matches in 5 days. Now, each of these players worth many, many millions. He needs to be able to keep his squad fit, especially because he has a Europa League final coming up around the corner as well. So as a consequence, Mr. Solskjaer has to have a look at his squad, understand what fixtures are in front of him, and decide how he's going to get through this difficult period without injuring any of his key players. Because obviously, not only does he want to finish as high as possible in the Premier League, but he wants to win the Europa League Cup as well. So as a consequence, he's going to have to make some difficult decisions here about what players he wants. And even large clubs have, with reasonable sized squads, still have this issue of they do have a limited squad size and different players. Some are coming up and into the first team, others are on the fringes of it, and so on. So there has to be a careful bit of management here in terms of what players you're going to play and when. So the key to this particular type of trade is looking for fixture congestion. This can occur at many times during the season, definitely a lot at the beginning of the season. But as we head into that busy period around Christmas and the New Year, you could find teams in the League Cup, in the FA Cup, and with European football and the Premier League. It's a crazy time of year when there's lots of fixture congestion. But then it can continue onwards until the end of the season, because if teams are continuing to progress through the latter stages of cup competitions or in Europe, then that fixture congestion can pile up all over again because they have commitments midweek in the European competitions or perhaps in cup competitions, and they have to complete the schedule with the Premier League fixtures as well. So you can see there are a lot of potential for fixture congestion at different times of the year. The key to this particular trade is looking at all of these fixture lists and identifying key moments when the congestion is at its highest, because that's where you will find the opportunity. And of course, the opportunity that we discovered this week was that Manchester United had to play 3 matches in 5 days, and they also had a Europa League final coming up as well, which was going to add to the tension in terms of trying to keep all of those players fit. So yeah, find some fixture congestion and then begin to focus in on which matches are likely to have players that are rested, or where there are going to be a significant number of team changes. Now for Manchester United, the interesting thing was they had to play Aston Villa, then they had to play Leicester, then they had to play Liverpool. If you're into your football, you will know that Manchester United are going to want to win that match against Liverpool. So it was really boiling down to, is something going to happen with Aston Villa or something going to happen with the Leicester match? And the way that the league was lined up was, if Manchester United could get 3 points against Aston Villa, then it was probably quite likely that they were going to rest players for the Leicester match. But also, we had lots of press around here. You could see it on the official club website through various forms of media. But basically, he was dropping a very, very clear hint that he was going to rest players. So we just had to keep our eye out for which of these matches we felt the actual players would most likely be rested for. Now, when this particular market opened on the betting exchange, you were able to lay Manchester United at odds of around 2.7, which is exactly what I did. I did send out a message to people when the market was created and when we could see all of the press around this particular match, indicating that the trade was on. Some people followed it, some people didn't, but one guy did actually follow, and he joined me at this particular moment in time. So we could get into the market a couple of days before the match was due to be played by laying Manchester United at 2.7. As the press built around this particular match, then necessarily that fed into the price. So as it was obvious that the match was going to basically include a number of rested players, the price on Manchester United began to drift. And you can see that reflected in the charts when you go onto a betting exchange. As the price begins to drift, you can begin to see that that is having an effect, and that it's becoming more and more certain that there will be a number of players rested. Now, of course, you could have done the other trade. You could have backed Leicester and traded out at a lower price, or you could lay Man United and trade out at a higher price. It's up to you which one you want to do. There are benefits and disadvantages to both of those. But on this occasion, I and the guy that followed me chose to lay Manchester United. Now, when we actually came to the match itself, when the team sheet was announced, there were 10 changes. But the interesting thing is, in the run-up to that, you could see information leaking out because the price started to move fairly dramatically. And this can happen for a number of reasons. The market does tell you things. It does give you information. But you can imagine somebody that was going to play that night who perhaps hadn't played before, hadn't played regularly, told somebody, he told somebody else told somebody else, and then the whole thing sort of spiraled from there. Stuff does tend to leak out. But officially, you're only supposed to know what the team is 1 hour before the start of the match. But I guarantee you that in most matches, people will have information about that team prior to that, because somebody has to type it up, somebody has to prepare it, do the press release, and out it goes. And sometimes the teams are known sometime in advance. So even if you didn't get in initially, you could have actually got in perhaps on the day. And as the price started to move, that would have given you an indication as to where the odds were going to go. When the team sheet came out, the interesting thing was most of it was discounted into the price. So I advised this person who was in on this trade. He sent me a message and a screenshot saying, shall I hit the cash out button? And basically he'd made over £1,000 as a free bet. And obviously if you hit the cash out button, it would be a slightly lower amount, but this would mean that he'd win regardless of what the underlying result was at the end of that particular match. And it was a pretty tidy sum as well. So I suggested to him, once the team sheet was out and the price hadn't moved that much, may as well hit that cash out button at that particular moment in time. So he owes me a couple of beers for that, I think. But the interesting thing was, eventually there was a little bit more movement in the market, and Manchester United went off at a price of 4. So we'd actually seen from when the market opened 2 days prior, or when there was reasonable liquidity in the market, the price had drifted all the way from 2.7 all the way out to 4. And if we look at the price of Leicester, it had done the reciprocal. Basically, people had been backing Leicester as well, and their price had come in from much, much higher prices down to much lower prices. So whether you laid Manchester United, then backed them and cashed out, or whether you backed Leicester and laid them and cashed out just before the start of the match, you would have made decent amounts of money. And this is pretty much the perfect trade, because we've got here advanced notification of when this is likely to occur. We can keep an eye on that. We can look at the news feed. And best of all, of course, we've made all of this money before a ball has even been kicked in a match, regardless of who goes on to win. It's really quite simply my favourite type of football trade to do. It occurs on a regular basis. You have to keep your eyes on the fixture lists and progression of teams through tournaments, but it's quite easy to predict. You can effectively see the future. You can identify where key opportunities are going to be well in advance. And like I said to you, that final position that we took, and when we hit that cash out button, means that we would profit regardless of whatever happened within the actual match itself. We could sit back and relax, knowing that we'd made our money. And the great thing about this is it will occur again. Will it occur this season? Probably not. But certainly as we head into the next football season and through other tournaments and other situations like this right across the world, you will see exactly the same thing happening again. And hopefully by watching this video, you'll be able to take advantage of it. Anyhow, I hope that video has been useful for you.